Been pretty quiet in the Sims community since the release of the Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature expansion pack, and despite this, it may be one of the heaviest marketing pushes I've seen for a while for a pack. So here's what I really think is going on, what it could say about both the future of Sims 4 releases and also some internal things within Electronic Arts. It's not extraordinary to say that a pack would get a lot of marketing, but I've been finding the marketing for the Enchanted by Nature expansion pack very curious. Number one, they did not have a developer live stream. Instead, they had a live stream with someone else well after the pack was launched. Personally, I hope this is not a precedent, though there are early access reviews, of course. I still think there is value in those live streams, and I just don't think it's a great precedent. But that aside, I want to go over what they've been doing. They actually just did another marketing post, and this was the ability to engage with a romantasy story. So that's very interesting, but let's start with how this all began, and I'll show you just why I think they put a ton of money and time into the marketing for this pack. Believe it or not, this all kicked off on May 30th. On May 30th, there was a gaming event with Ebonics, Megan the Stallion, and during the stream, they teased the trailer for this expansion pack at the very end. This was just a casual playthrough, and it was not unusual for Sims 4 to be featured at a gaming event. On June 5th, we got the whole marketing roadmap, and I do expect they will do something like this in the future. Of course, at that time, I did notice they didn't say anything about a live stream. At that point, I thought it was just an omission, just like they forgot to put dates on this as well. Moving on to June 6th, they had this teaser website. Now, if you remember, they added onto this website day by day, and it would tease different features in the pack. But they actually did build clay models for this website, so that was really another investment. And with this website, it did have sound effects, and you can navigate it still to this day. It was yet another way they were teasing this in a way I did not anticipate. June 12th, we got something that we always get, which of course is the reveal trailer. Now with the reveal trailer, we got also a blog post talking about the world and some of the main gameplay features. Again, there is nothing unusual about this. This is pretty common, and I will say I do appreciate these materials. A trailer can only show you so much. In the blog posts, even though I feel like a lot of people don't read them, the blog posts do tend to give you more information. I actually felt pretty neutral when I first saw the trailer. I felt that it was not as whimsical and magical as I anticipated, and I was concerned about some of the other features. However, at the same time, it did not look terrible, and I was eager to learn more about the pack. On June 16th, they did a Discord giveaway, and for this, they wanted people to upload designs of gardens. I do think it was a way for them to anticipate and tease the pack. But moving on from that, on June 17th, we got a small teaser trailer. Now, honestly, all these small teaser trailers reminds me a lot of the marketing for high school years. For high school years, we got a yearbook tease and lots of little trailers, and it does seem to me that summer packs do get differences in terms of marketing. But with this teaser trailer, we got to see the traits, the aspirations, and some of the Create a Sim items. Now, I did note at this time that the Create a Sim items were not to my liking whatsoever, but I did like the overall customization. Moving on June 20th, we got a build buy trailer. And with the build buy trailer, again, we're getting a bigger idea of what this pack is going to be like. What's so interesting with these mini trailers is it did do a better job in terms of showing off swatches. And I have a few theories why they're doing these mini trailers. They maybe think that people don't tune in for streams or have shorter attention spans, and also that way you're spreading the marketing out even further. And of course, on June 26th, we got the gameplay trailer. And normally, I would say this is probably where we get the developer live stream and call it a day. However, that was not the case with this expansion pack. We got a reminder about bonus content, which is not too unusual. They do try to push people to buy this at full price. As I always say, it's not usually worth it unless you actually really want the pack. On July 1st, we got another giveaway, this time featuring the glass walls in the base game. And this was to win the new expansion pack. So it seems like they're really focusing on these quote-unquote giveaways and challenges in order to boost engagement. It's a way for people to talk about it to share their creations online, and honestly, if they can get their engagement numbers up even over a certain period of time, it's not just about pack sales, but showing to their investors, look, we get spikes of engagement. In the July 2nd blog post, we learned about fairies and some of the lore in the game. The July 8th mini trailer featured builds and more craters. What I noticed is they are talking a lot about crater content, and even though I do think it's great they are using craters, and I think overall this is a win-win, they have talked so many times in earnings calls about user-generated content. They are also using this as a marketing strategy in my opinion. On July 10th though, they still weren't done. July 10th brought a new trailer with Bob Pancakes. I don't think it was necessary, I don't know if it actually is helpful, but it was enjoyable and it had some whimsical touches. July 11th though, they had even more marketing, and this is where I was thinking, wow, this pack is really getting pushed. July 11th's post was all about fairy aesthetics, and I don't know how successful these are, I don't know if this is necessary. On July 17th, they had T-Pain stream with It's Me Troy. This again seemed to take up the space of a developer live stream, so they're really big on bringing in personalities to advertise for them. And that still isn't it, because on July 22nd, they listed a bunch of music artists that learned Simlish for The Sims. This is just really interesting. I can tell they are really trying to cater towards Gen Z especially, maybe a little bit of Gen Alpha too. And again, none of this is surprising, it just surprises me just how much marketing Enchanted by Nature got. I just wonder, how much are they spending on this marketing? I'm not saying that any of this marketing is in of itself super expensive, but it is quite a production. And that production still did not end, because on July 29th, we got a music video. I think music videos for The Sims is pretty fun, and actually it's a throwback. We did used to get music videos in Sims 2 and also some in the third Sims game too. This music video is Perfect Stranger by FKA Twigs, and it was designed by Solito Sims. Now, I think this was really well done, but I wonder, was it actually necessary with all the other marketing? Moving on, we still were not done with marketing apparently, because on July 31st, they had yet another post. Now this marketing push ties into a popular trend. Romantasy, romance and fantasy combined together, is a very popular genre right now, and especially so on TikTok. And in fact, the romantasy genre on TikTok seems to be what inspired them, because they are asking people to post on TikTok. Basically, you read this whole story and you decide what the ending is. Now, I myself am a writer, and I understand some people do enjoy this. They enjoy fanfiction. I don't personally do fanfiction, but I do understand why it's another mode of engagement. And as you can see here, they are going with tons of different strategies. They have mini trailers, celebrities, influencers, blog posts, events, giveaways. These even could be some experiments. Maybe they're just trying to see what marketing strategy lands the best. Some people suggested the huge marketing post was because the pack is not selling well. Always a possibility, but usually for marketing, you do have to plan these things well in advance. And so it could also be that these summer packs just have not been selling well and they planned ahead of time, or they could just be pushing for even more sales. What would be so interesting to see is if this is actually successful. Now don't get me wrong, I understand that the marketing budget is separate from the game, but overall you still have an overall budget. And I have to say, I don't mind some of this marketing. I think some of it is fun. I thought the music video was fun, but probably just a little bit of overkill. Personally, I would have cut some of this and had a developer live stream. But again, I do think attention spans are short, and I am not their target audience at this point if I had to guess. Needless to say, this isn't really about Enchanted by Nature or these marketing tactics. It's more about how much are they spending on marketing and what is their overall goal. Again, it might not just be about sales, but also about boosting engagement. And of course, we have those in-game live events, which I am not super fond of, mostly because they tend to be buggy and they are pretty intrusive in the main menu. I would say if they keep doing those, which I think they will, you should be able to toggle them on and off and not see them ever again if you choose. Let me know what you think about all this marketing and what it means, if anything at all. And as always, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.